CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lampp.
Kelly Wilson, she's the founding board member of the Kaimanawa Legacy Foundation. G'day Kelly, welcome to the show. Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Kelly, these Kaimanawa horses are very, very special. There's been a couple of musters. There's another one coming up. Just talk us through, for people that don't really know what the Kaimanawa horses are, why they're being mustered. What's the story behind them?
So generally the herd is maintained at about 300 to 400 to protect both the horse's health and also the fragile flora and fauna in the region. And in the last few years with COVID and obviously economic cost of living increases, there's been an increase in population and not necessarily the amount of homes being found. And so this year, the government's really focused on several mega musters to try and get the population back to where it needs to be and also implement immunocontraception. So a couple of years from now, we're not going to be in the same situation over and over again.
Yeah, has from what I understand, the contraception's been used before, is that right?
Yep, so the first trial was done in 2022, and on that first dose, it proved to be about 25% effective, which is what the American data was showing. And the purpose of these sequence of musters is to give the horses their booster shots. So with those booster shots, it can be up to 70% effective. So potentially we're looking at 100 mares double boosted and 70 foals less being born in the mountains every year.
It's a tricky thing to manage, isn't it, around people's different views on the Kaimanawa horses, Kelly? Have you seen people's perceptions or attitudes change over time?
I definitely think that the opportunity New Zealand has, I mean, we're definitely one of the world leaders in wild horse management, the opportunity to have the musters and that ability to rehome is something that is hugely appreciative. Back in the day when the majority were going to slaughter, which was 2012 when I first became involved, it was incredibly stressful and very almost kind of like, you know, how can you even make enough difference to kind of bother trying? And now we're at the point where no horse has been slaughtered since 2014. And to maintain that, the immunocontraception will help. But as we transition through into that, the horses are still reproducing at such a large number that rehoming is really critical for the next 2 years in quite high numbers.
Well, so what's so special about the Kaimanawa horses, other than they're obviously wild horses living, you know, in that region? As a horse, what's their genetic makeup? Are they ponies? Are they horses? What are they?
So generally they're kind of ranging from 14 hands to 14.3, and obviously some are much smaller and some get much bigger, but generally that kind of large pony height. And they trace back to escapees from about 1875 when the herd was first recorded. And then a huge part of the foundation stock were horses that were released in 1941 from the Calvary.
And what happens with regards to the rehoming process and breaking in for most of them?
So the majority of horses that are brought out of the ranges, there's two options. They can either go directly to people's properties. So if they have the experience, stockyards, and the time to tame them themselves, it's a very cheap option. It's $250 to purchase the horse and up to $300 to take it in a stock truck and have it delivered at your property. And then for those that don't necessarily have that experience or the facilities, then they've got the option to get it sent to an approved trainer, where the trainer goes through all of the handling milestones needed to help it thrive in domestication. And that usually takes anywhere from sort of 5 to 12 weeks. And at that point, the horse is normally better handled than a domestic horse of the same age.
They're quick learners?
Yeah, really quick. I mean, we're just 10 days into training from the horses from the first April muster, and all around the country there's so many that halted, leading out on farm adventures, really confident being rubbed and really relaxed in their new lives with people.
Just coming back, because I was interested in you talking about the mega musters to bring them in. Obviously, some of them are going to go to rehoming, but the rest of them are obviously, once they've had the contraception, are going back. Who pays for that? How does that get funded?
So that's generally something that's covered by the Department of Conservation. and it can be anywhere upwards of 100,000 a year for a muster. Obviously, this year we've got 3 musters, so it's the largest financial commitment the government's ever made. And considering just 6 weeks ago, the government looked like they were pulling all funding and no musters were happening, it's been a massive turnaround. And we've gone from it being in a dire situation a couple of years from now to potentially the best it's ever been. So really appreciative of, those changes at government level that have enabled this muster to happen. But for it to be a success, the rehoming element of the June muster really needs to increase. And there's 91 horses that are needing to find homes.
Yeah, so I think the clear message is, if you're interested in a Kaimanawa horse, getting ahead of it with June to be able to support that mission. Who was instrumental within government in making that change? Was Tama Potaka a part of that?
No, it was Damien, and he's one of the Director Generals of the Department of Conservation. So he's had a few meetings with a collective group, and then also was at the last muster observing it as well. So some really awesome support at that level now.
Yeah, that's some very good lobbying, I must say.
Yeah, 100%.
To make that turnaround, and as you mentioned at the start of the conversation, Kelly, cost of living pressures is, on all of us, but also across government as well. So nice to see that commitment.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the reasons that this June muster is so dire. When they were advertising for the April muster, there was that massive sort of spike in concern around the Iran war. And it was that most stressful 2 or 3 week period where fuel prices were hiking, and that uncertainty really caused our rehoming numbers to be the lowest they've ever been. And so to have the second opportunity to find homes is really needed.
Yeah.
I assume if someone is watching this interested, there's a website where they can go to register their interest or to contact you guys at your organisation?
Yep, so KaimanawaHeritageHorses.org has all the information about the muster process, rehoming directly, and also a list of trainers. And then there's also Kaimanawa Legacy Foundation, who offers a $1,000 subsidy to support with the initial handling if you're going through a professional trainer as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Sounds amazing. Kelly, thank you very much for everything that you do and for joining the show today. Kelly Wilson.
Thank you.
They're the founding board member of the Kaimanawa Legacy Foundation, joining us on the show.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lampp.